right now. Listen up.
3, 2, 1.
It's showtime.
That's great.
This is ridiculous.
99.3 The Truth.
You can't handle the truth right now.
Ooh.
That was the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Let's do it.
Hit it. It's time for Mac's World.
And here we go.
Everybody here. Everybody here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Call Mac 244-0077 or text 809-0993.
It's showtime, everybody! Showtime!
Exclusively on 99.3 The Truth.
Hey, welcome to Mac's World Live. Today is Friday, September 23rd in the year of our Lord 2016. I'm obviously not Mac McCoy. I'm filling in for him. My name's Shane Vanderhart. In spirit of Mac, I was going to call myself Shane Vander Squirrel or something like that.
Vanderweasel
of decaffeinatedthoughts.com. But actually, it's caffeinatedthoughts.com and Caffeinated Thoughts Radio. And Mac is generously letting me take over his microphone for a couple hours. He might regret that after the end of the 2 hours. We'll see.
I don't know that our signal gets all the way down to Indianola.
Yeah, he's at that women's conference, right? Wild at
Yeah,
Lunch
the women's
Retreat.
conference.
Yeah, but I'm not alone in studio. We got my trusty co-host on Caffeinated Thoughts Radio. We got Brian Myers here in studio. You guys say hi, Brian.
Hi, Brian.
And of course, then we got Chris Roloff.
Hi, Chris.
And everybody knows Chris. And then Frank the Verse Thomas.
Yes.
And I got to hear, I've never heard the story why you called the Verse, but we don't.
Well, just
do we really want to know that?
Quickly, I got nicknamed The Voice because everybody has to have a nickname in Mac's World.
Yeah.
And then I had a few
Vanders.
run-ins with some Calvinist ministers who I always had the supposed proof text to prove something opposite than what they were saying. So Michael Mudloff said, he's not the voice, he's the verse.
The Verse.
So that
nice.
stuck. So
And then Bob Cat in the Hat Montserrat.
That's me.
So there was some breaking news today.
US drum roll.
Yeah.
Jeb.
This is so not like our show.
I know, it's great.
So, Senator Ted Cruz decided.
Are you? I'm scared. Go ahead.
You're scared?
I don't know what this breaking news is, and
Brian
I'm nervous.
can hold.
And you don't like it already, correct?
Brian can hold you.
Hold me, Brian. What did Ted Cruz do now?
Ted Cruz decided to endorse Donald Trump. This just happened 35 minutes ago.
Are you being serious?
I'm serious. On Facebook,
Serious as a heart attack.
On Facebook, he announced this. I'm going to just, for the sake of our listeners, going to read his statement. Maybe not the whole thing. It's kind of long, but so you get the gist of it. He said, "This election is unlike any other in our nation's history."
He's right about that.
Amen to that. That is truth. Like many other voters, I've struggled to determine the right course of action in this general election. In Cleveland, I urge voters, please don't stay home in November. Stand and speak. Vote your conscience. Vote for candidates up and down the ticket whom you trust to defend our freedom and to be faithful to the Constitution. After many months of careful consideration of prayer and of searching my own conscience, I have decided that on Election Day I will vote for the Republican nominee, Donald Trump. I have made this decision for two reasons. First, last year I promised to support the Republican nominee, and I intend to keep my word, something that he was very much criticized for after the Republican National Committee.
Eviscerated, actually.
Eviscerated, yeah. Second, even though I have had, hopefully still has, areas of significant disagreement with our nominee, by any measure, Hillary Clinton is wholly unacceptable, and that's why I've always been never Hillary. He said 6 key policy differences inform my decision. I'm not going to read all of those.
Yeah.
You can go to Ted Cruz's Facebook page to see his statement in full. But reaction, gentlemen.
Well, wait a minute.
First of all,
just a clear point of hold your thing. Point of clarification. He did not endorse Donald Trump. He just admitted that he was
going to vote for him.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I
Brian.
haven't read the whole statement, so he basically talks about 6 areas on Obamacare, energy, immigration, Supreme Court, national security, internet freedom that he can agree with Donald Trump on. And sees him as significantly better than.
Well, any way you slice it, this is an endorsement of sorts.
Of sorts.
Here's what Fox News says. Senator Ted Cruz announced Friday he will vote for Donald Trump and urged others to do the same.
He did.
That's as close to an endorsement. I mean,
It is.
Yeah.
The word isn't there, but now if he's urging other people to do the same, to join him in that effort, it's not just I'm going to hold my nose. Yeah.
Now, here's my question for you, Shane. Is this something that you would have seen in your wildest dreams? Did you see this coming at all?
Well, had it not been for the Republican National Convention speech, yes, I would have seen this. I would have expected it because that's generally what candidates do. They generally end up endorsing the actual nominee.
Right.
However, leading up to what happened before the Republican convention, when you consider the bad blood in May, with Heidi, the things that Trump said about Heidi Cruz, from him putting out the statement about the JFK, tying Rafael Cruz to the JFK assassination. I wasn't expecting this. At least with this, I can see that he's put some considerable thought and prayer, and it wasn't just a knee-jerk thing because this is what I'm supposed to do.
But still, at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself this question.
Right.
Why would you go out and do what many people consider to be an act of political suicide and do what he did at the convention, only to come back weeks later and do this? Just it's an obvious question.
Yeah, and what he did at the convention, he didn't unendorse him. Now, when talking to reporters, he was a little more terse about it afterwards. But during the actual convention, he didn't necessarily, at that convention, rule out endorsing. He did later on. And apparently what has changed his mind has been conversations, I've been at least reading on CNN, conversations with Governor Mike Pence, whom he probably respects and trusts. Which I think, I've got my issues with Mike Pence, but I think he's I like former Congressman Mike Pence better than I've liked Governor Mike Pence.
Well, we were talking.
The verse needs to get something in. He's got words.
Well, just what do you think the reaction of Steve Deace and some of the cohorts, some of his type of cohorts will have about this endorsement? I know
you
Mark
saw
Levin,
a statement from Steve Deace, didn't you?
Mark Levin has come around recently for Trump, but we had 4 Never Trumpers in here: Tim Overland, Joel Kurtenitis, Pat Nicholas, and Steve Riker.
Right.
And I would just wonder if any of those guys are listening. They'd like to call in and chime in.
Yeah, if you guys are listening, please feel free. The number is 515-244-0077, and we'll get you on as soon as possible.
Actually, if Mac was here, what would he be saying right now? He'd be saying, "It's your voice we want to hear."
Yes, absolutely.
Boy, howdy. I mean, that is some shocking stuff. Right when you said Ted Cruz, I grabbed I did not know that. I grabbed the table and said, no.
Yeah.
So I think my initial thought is you've got an incredible loss of integrity here. I mean, Ted Cruz was this principled guy. He was the big dog. He was gonna stand for his principles no matter what. He did this crazy thing at the RNC, which for anybody that was behind him, now again, it's no secret that I didn't caucus for the guy, but for anybody that was a Ted Cruz supporter, what he did at the RNC was a big I'm going to stand on principles kind of action to do. And now, was it all for nothing? Was it all for nothing? Did he cave? Has he just given in? Where have his principles gone?
No, because they were Steve Riker and Tim Overland and some of those guys were trying to say that was a backhanded endorsement, which I said it wasn't. When you don't name somebody by name, it's not an endorsement.
Right.
They were saying for those who uphold the Constitution, vote your conscience for those who uphold the Constitution and keep your freedoms free.
Right.
Well, sad for you if you don't think that's Donald Trump. So they were trying to throw it back in people like me's face, saying, well, that's a backhanded endorsement. Well, now he's literally come out and said almost the words endorsement, which I said that's what I wanted all along. He can say, hey, look, I may disagree with Donald Trump, but between Hillary and Donald, there's no choice.
Yeah, and by the way, I was reminded that we do have a text line that we encourage you to use. It is 809-0993 if you'd like to send your text to the Service Legends Truth text line. That's 515-809-0993.
Send those texts to Bob.
Yes,
Cat
and I
in the
have
hat.
one. I have one right
You have
here.
one,
All
awesome.
Okay, here's a question for you guys. Not for me, but for you guys. Okay.
Yes, guys.
I can say that I prayed about it and God told me to vote for Trump. Someone else, on the other hand, can say they prayed also on who to vote for and God told them Hillary Clinton. How can people say they pray about who to vote for and God gives everybody different, choices?
Okay.
First of all,
How do you explain that?
First of all, we have to talk about the theology behind the question. Okay, there's some of us that don't believe in direct revelation in that regard. God doesn't come to me and speak to me and say, vote for Donald Trump. What I take Ted Cruz to mean when he said he prayed about this is that he simply brought this matter to the throne of grace, said he was told the Lord that he was struggling with this particular issue. He tried to get some light from Scripture. Those are the kinds of things that I'm assuming that he meant by that. I don't think that he meant that the Holy Spirit came to him in a dream and said, you need to endorse Trump or whatever.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. So, basically, I've always said my conscience is not your conscience. I'm required to follow my conscience. You are not required to follow my conscience.
Let me get this. I didn't finish reading it, but it says,
sorry.
does God really have a will on who is going to be president?
Well, if you believe that God is omniscient, and I do, I think He knows. He has a purpose and a plan. His plan can be accomplished regardless of who's in the White House. So that's something to keep in mind. Regardless of who wins, God is on His throne. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. And be sure to send us a text, 515-809-0993, the Service Legends Truth text line. See you in a bit.
Nothing.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza! And it's got Graziano sausage!
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens, rock on! This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
And welcome back to Max World Live. This is Shane Vanderhart. Obviously, I'm not Mac McCoy. He's graciously allowed us to kind of take over his show for a couple hours on this glorious Friday afternoon. Can you believe it's fall already? Quiet. Apparently not.
Apparently,
Nobody
all of us stunned in silence.
I didn't realize that was a trick question. So, yeah. Anyway, hey, we want to hear from you. So I want to encourage you to give us a call. 515-244-0077. Again, that's 515-244-0077. It's your voice we want to hear. Also, give us a text or send us a text as well. 515-809-0993, the Service Legends Truth text line.
We want to know what people think about this Cruz endorsement.
Absolutely.
Shane, let me give you two verses why they call me the verse.
Okay.
First is Romans 13:1 says authorities exist. The authorities that exist are established by God.
Right.
And Daniel 2:21 says, and he changeth the times and seasons. He removeth kings and setteth up kings. He giveth wisdom unto the wise and knowledge to them that know understanding.
Yes, God in his providence, he's in control of what's going on. So he is not, the thing about God, I mean, he's omnipresent. He's also transcendent. So he's with us, he's involved, but he's also above everything too. So he's in control of what's going on. There's nothing that's going to happen. It's not like we're going to hit midnight, November 9th, and God's going to say, what in the world just happened?
It's all under his purview.
Right.
And I have a texter here that says, from the Service Legends Truth text line, yes, God's will be done regardless of who is in office. But I do believe whoever gets into office will either speed up the second coming or put it off.
That person must be related to Frank. That sounds like the kind of thing
I've always
Frank
thought
says.
that God's going to give us the presidential candidate we need or the one we deserve.
Well, you know, there's such a thing as called, and Brian Myers, you'll get a kick out of this because this is one of those fancy theological phrases, you know, secondary causes, right? Ooh. Yeah, see, I knew Brian would like that kind of stuff. But there's this whole notion of, and Frank would call that free will. This is this idea that God has put humans in the world and humans have free agency and we do things. Our propensity, I would say, is to do bad things, and it's God's grace that moves us and causes us to do things that honor him and give him glory. So our voting is a reflection of our conscience. It's a reflection of our morals, of where we think our country should go, and we've been given a lot of power, and it scares the daylights out of me. I've said this before, Shane. When I was a Texan,
you mean when you all was a Texan?
Are you ever not a Texan?
You're still once a Texan, always.
Are you ever not a Texan?
Hey, y'all.
Thank you. I repent. As a Texan living in Iowa. Sorry, there's millions of people in Texas that felt.
Don't mess with Texas.
Oh, I fell in love with a Mexican girl. It's true, but she happened to be white and Polish. It was very confusing to me. I thought she was Mexican, but she's not. We got way off track.
But as a Texan,
well, but I grew up in Texas, and we're a very red state. Texas is a very red state, very conservative state, and so national politics especially were of not interest to me. Of course, I was a bit younger. When I moved to Iowa, this state is so purple, and everybody cares so much about politics.
We're schizophrenic,
and I started to take a hard look at this, and I actually, as a Christian, realized not only does God want me to vote, but my vote is important because it is a reflection of where I would like to see the country that I've been placed in go. And then it breaks my heart to see the country not going in the direction that I would like to see it go.
Right.
And that's the frustration that many Christians feel in the state, don't you think?
I believe so. And one thing that, we need to remember as the church that ultimately at the end of the day, we are not going to see this country get turned around because of who we put in office. Ultimately, it's the proclamation of the gospel that's going to change hearts and lives and change our culture.
Hear, hear.
Not anything that happens in politics. Basically, culture drives politics. Politics doesn't drive culture. So if we put all of our eggs in the political basket, I mean, as I think we have on some issues, we're going to be sorely disappointed, as we have been disappointed.
But we don't want to disengage either.
We don't want to disengage. So yeah, believe me, I write about politics and talk about politics. I'm a political junkie. I love doing it, talking, but yeah, Frank's.
Would you agree until that happens, we need jobs, we need economy, we need something that we generate money to spread the gospel and to get Christ's message complete? I mean, in other words, we need to be proactive in this. We're not supposed to just sit back and, the Lord's going to have his way. We're supposed to proactively go out and spread his gospel.
Right.
We need jobs, we need homes, we need an economy to do it.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with any of that.
And I just think that Trump is better equipped to add something to our economy than Hillary.
All right. I will. I don't have that confidence in Trump that you do, but I can see why you think that way.
Yeah,
well, you want to concede the point that Frank could be right on that. We don't know yet.
Could be. I've said to people before, I'm never Trump right now.
Right.
But if Trump wins and he governs well, he has the opportunity to win my vote for re-election. I'm not so hard-headed that if he does a good job as president, I'm going to still say no. I'm still not voting for you.
Yep.
Because I think that would just be dumb.
Right.
And I want to maintain an open mind.
One of the Never Trumpers that we had on the broadcast a couple of days ago, Steve Riker, posted this on Facebook. I'm not going to read Steve's whole comment here, but he said, "Mark my words, the vast majority of Never Trump people will not be swayed by Ted Cruz capitulation. This movement had never been about Cruz. It has always been about Trump." And he
that sounds like Steve, doesn't it?
It does. I'm going to be kind.
Steve.
I'm going to be kinder to Senator Cruz than that. I think he was in a tough spot. I think he was swayed. This endorsement, frankly, is much more believable and authentic to me now that he's making it here in September rather than if he did it back in May. Especially after all that was said and done, it got a little water. He's able to put a little water under the bridge and think and pray about it.
Hang on here, Frank, because I'm going to pay you a compliment.
Not saying I agree with his decision, but it makes more sense this way to me than if you did it back in May. Back in May, it would just seem asinine.
Yeah,
when he just insults your wife, threatens to attack your wife. Ties you to your dad to a conspiracy theory. That's not the right time to make an endorsement.
But Frank did ask, I think, a key question early on, and that is, are some of the more intense, shall we say, Never Trumpers, how are they, and those who supported Cruz, as a lot of them did,
right?
How are they going to respond to this relative to Cruz's future?
Right.
I mean,
well, that's what I was just going to mention to his political viability. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people who's going to be ticked off at Cruz if they feel like the Never Trumpers caused Trump to lose. So if he endorses him and wraps his arms around him and then he wants to run in 2020 or whatever year he wants to run in.
Well, I don't think he can run in 2020 if Trump wins.
But if he loses, then at least the people who voted Trump would be more likely to embrace him and say, well, you're not our political enemy because.
Yeah, I think there was peril either way he went. If he embraces him whole hog. What am I being punny here? I don't know, but if he embraces him and started saying some, he's such a great guy. He's manic. Some of the things like some of our fellow evangelical leaders have been saying about Trump that make me cringe. I think that has more opportunity to hurt him politically than doing it this way.
Look, though, the problem we talked about earlier is still very much, for me personally, in the front of the issue here, and that is the fact that it seems schizophrenic for Ted Cruz to do this now after what happened at the convention. I think that's just a cataclysmic error.
Like I said, I'd rather he not have. That's my personal opinion.
He'd have been better off doing something like this back then than to do what he did then,
right?
And follow up with this pseudo endorsement.
Kind of what I'm saying. I just think in May everything was too fresh. I don't think he could have supported him back then. I I don't know how you personally can support somebody who does what he did that soon after he did it.
If I was Ted Cruz, I would come out and I'd make no bones about it that I have definite disagreements with certain policies of Trump. But my out would be by saying the honor of my country is higher than any personal honor I may have. In other words, put the country first. Say you have disagreements. I'm not looking for Cruz to grovel and kiss Trump's rear. All I've ever wanted is just an endorsement to say, hey, I've got disagreements with the guy, but I'm willing to put my country ahead of those disagreements.
Definitely. Yeah, I can see that. Frankly, who somebody endorses is a little bearing to me when I make my decision who I'm going to back for president. I don't go back, oh, did he endorse such and such or so and so? Like, oh, I can't support him then. No, it doesn't really matter to me one way or the other. I'm disappointed. I think he would have been better to stay silent, actually, and just leave it what he said at the convention. But
here's another question. What is this going to do in the polls? We're going to see a bump? We're going to see what are we going to see?
I don't know. I really don't know. It's hard to. Oh, we have a phone call?
It's Tim Overland's on the phone.
Overland. Okay.
Yeah, spelled wrong, but that's okay. Tim Overland.
Hey, Tim, how are you?
Did we spell it wrong again?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you're Overland.
Overland.
Don't worry, you're talking to Shane Vanderweasel.
Yep.
I wasn't going to call in. I'm assuming we're talking about. I just got back in my car and saw an email that was subject "Never Hillary." Is this what we're talking about?
We're talking about Senator Cruz's endorsement of
pseudo endorsement.
We're talking about the fact that your guy stabbed you in the back, Tim.
Oh, Chris, you know where to go.
I know. I just had to make it fun. It fun. I did not know this until I sat in on the studio and Shane said, we have breaking news. And then he said the words Ted Cruz. And I went, no. And then it happened, man. So
is this the email? Is that what we're talking about? Because I
haven't seen an email. He on Facebook an hour ago he endorsed Donald Trump. Ted Cruz did.
He said that. Yeah, he said that he would vote for Donald Trump, and he encouraged other people to vote for Donald Trump.
And he gave 6 areas of policy where he thought Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton differed, and provided a choice where there was a choice.
Well, I will echo what I heard because I got in the car about the time you guys were talking about Steve Riker's post.
Okay.
I will echo Riker's post. I'll echo the same thing we said when we were in there a couple weeks ago, that this really wasn't about Cruz.
Right.
Yes, we all happen to be Cruz supporters, and I'll echo what I said. For example, if those affair rumors would have been true, almost every Cruz supporter that I know of would have dropped him in a heartbeat.
Right.
The difference being that most Trump supporters would have, thought it was another notch in the bedpost. So, and I still disagree with Frank that, I get putting your country above a lot of things, but the way that Heidi and Raphael were personally gone after, not to mention the affair rumors,
right,
that I know Trump supposedly had nothing to do with, but, I think you need to check your man card if you would allow somebody to treat your wife and family that way, and you would go back to kiss his ring. And that.
Could you hang tight? We got a break coming up, but I'd like to talk to you a little bit further. Can you hang with us a little bit? Okay.
Yep, you bet.
All right. Hey, this is Mac's World Live. You're listening to Shane Vanner, Brian Myers, Frank the Verse, Bob Mosseret, and then what's your name? Chris. Yes, Chris Roloff.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed, Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money-back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
And welcome back to Webcast One. Gosh. Max World Live. Where am I again?
Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
Yeah. This is Shane Vanderhart, obviously not used to doing this. We got Brian Myers, Chris Roloff. Almost forgot his name last segment.
That's all right. Bubba.
You know, Frank the Verse. Bob Cat in the Hat. And is Tim Overland still with us?
I'm still here.
Okay, great. I want to just ask you.
What are we talking about, Shane?
We're thank you. What were we talking about? We were talking about Cruz.
Yeah.
And this endorsement of Trump.
That's right.
And Tim, you made a comment about the man card situation. Mm-hmm. Does it make a difference? Okay, because I would have felt that way more if he did that in May when he got out. Then now it's here. It's September. We're just like 6 weeks away. Actually, we're entering election month almost, depending on what your state. We have early voting here. Now, because it seems like he's had a time to think and pray, and it sounds like he's had several conversations with Mike Pence. Does that make a difference to you?
I'm finding it interesting that he's talking to Mike Pence and not Trump. But I was just reading while you guys were on break. I was just reading the Post, and it's some of the same talking points. And I don't know if somebody has gotten to Cruz. Most of those things just aren't believable. I mean, how do you come out with this endorsement less than 24 hours after Trump is talking about violating Second and Fourth Amendment rights? I mean, holy cow! How can we take him seriously on this stuff? I just think it's bad timing. I think Senator Cruz had positioned himself in a unique position to be one of the few that said that this wasn't a good move by our party, and he kind of gave up that sole ground because unless a lot of us are fabulously wrong, if for some miracle Trump wins this thing, I think it's going to be spectacularly bad for the conservative movement.
Okay, Frank's got something to say here.
Tim, you You and Steve Riker both kind of challenged me when I said that Cruz didn't endorse Trump the first time, and you guys both tried to get a good giggle out of the fact that he said, vote your conscience up and down the ballot for those who will uphold the Constitution and keep our freedoms free. And you tried to buffalo me into believing, and I rejected that all along. That was not endorsement. I told you clearly, Joel, and I told all of you clearly what I felt an endorsement would be, and that wasn't it. Now that he's made the official endorsement, are you willing to go back and say what you guys was trying to tell me all along was baloney?
Well, Frank, what I said, and I don't, my intent was that, or the meaning behind me saying what you're echoing that we said was, if you don't take that as an endorsement, that's more of a problem on your candidate, not on Senator Cruz. If you don't believe that definition met that, and I don't believe that he does meet that, still doesn't meet that definition, that he's somebody that's going to defend the Constitution. Again, he's just talking about violating 2 of the amendments in the last 24 hours and doubled down on it. And so, no, I still don't believe that he meets that criteria. So the point was, no, it wasn't an endorsement because the guy that we have as the nominee doesn't meet that criteria. And I think that a lot of the Trump supporters knew that, but they had to get defensive because they can't admit that their guy is not going to uphold the Constitution.
Right. Yeah, I can't imagine anyone actually saying that out loud. I just want to make a point that regardless of what Senator Cruz does or doesn't do, each one of us are required to vote our own conscience. Senator Cruz's conscience is not my conscience, and vice versa.
And I absolutely agree with that. I just took exception with those like Steve Deace, and he was in on the show here a couple months ago, that he seemed to be taking it beyond voting his conscience to voting other people's conscience as a never Trump campaign. Fine, if you want to sit home, you want to vote down ballot, you want to vote third party, you want to leave the presidential box empty, I endorse and embrace your right to do that. Just don't try to run it as a campaign to defeat Trump for Hillary, somehow thinking you're going to run your candidate in 2020, because those people that get ticked off aren't going to vote your candidate in 2020. This makes it more likely that at least the people who might not consider Cruz in 2020 might embrace him now, because at least he's come out and endorsed the candidate.
Well, Tim, I wanted to ask you that question as well. I know you guys have made it plain all along that the Never Trumper movement was not about Ted Cruz. But let me ask you this. Let's assume for the moment that Mr. Trump loses. What does this action on the part of Senator Cruz, what does this do to him long term? Where is this going to position him for the 2020 campaign?
I think that a lot of the people in the Never Trump movement, I can only speak for myself, but this is an educated guess, I guess, is that for so long we kind of bought into this, rally around the nominee thing. But then if you've noticed over the last couple of elections, it was like, well, wait a minute, they've nominated or they've endorsed this sellout who they've attacked I think people are going to start. There's been a thing, if you guys have seen around on Facebook, this thing called the Exodus. There's a lot of people that are fed up with the Republican Party. And I was just at a meeting the other night with an auditor that happened to be in attendance at a Central Committee meeting, and they're talking about how the ballots and stuff are down. There's no excitement in this election. This is an election of fear, and it's all about your base. And I know that's a bad song, but it really is. If you don't, if you're going to irritate and upset your base, and I think that Senator Cruz had shored that up, and I think the Trump supporters, as he started, violating his promises and not doing or whatever promises those are, and violating the Constitution, I think they would have come around and seen that, oh, these guys were right.
So you're saying long term, this has hurt Senator Cruz. We'll be talking about this in a couple years still.
Yeah, I think with his base, it'll take, this, as you guys said, this wasn't a full-throated endorsement. This is about, I would put this in the same category as maybe Bobby Jindal's endorsement. Man, this stinks. I'm going to hold my nose. This is horrible. I mean, it wasn't quite that bad, but it was
right.
I don't think it's full-throated. It's not, as Frank said, wrap your arms around him. But it's, I think it'll take a little bit of because there's been a lot of people. I mean, Frank and I have these conversations. There's a lot of emotion that gets wrapped up in it. And there's a lot of people who've been planting their flags saying, no, this is not my Republican Party. This is not what a conservative looks like. He makes us look like the cartoon characters that the left points us out to be, and that's not us. So,
hey, Tim, though, if you're going to have a party and you're going to abide by party rules, I don't care whether it's a church, I don't care what it is, you have rules. And if it's as I told Steve in here, beat the crap out of each other in your house, but when you come out of your house, come out in a united front for somebody, because no matter if it was Cruz, somebody would have been coming out holding their nose, voting for Cruz. If you don't want to be a member of the Republican Party, go start your own party. But if you're going to have a party, abide by the rules of the party.
So that's Frank. That's the point. What are the rules? This is a guy who, again, has made a mockery of being conservative. So if this is supposed to be the conservative party, at what point do we hold these guys accountable to keep giving us the most liberal, dislikable candidate that we possibly can get? And they keep doing that year after year.
And we're going to have to leave on that note. I know we've got another caller. Tim, thank you for hanging on with us. By the way, if you want to call in, we want to hear from you.
Thanks, guys.
You're welcome. The number is 515-244-0077. You can also shoot us a text at the Service Legends Truth text line, 515-809-0993. We've got another caller.
We did, I think. Jeb, did we have another caller or no?
He's going to call back.
He's going to call back.
Oh, okay. Oh well,
we're coming up on a break.
I'm new to this whole call-in thing, so
yeah, you got your show on Saturdays is pre-recorded, right? So it's
right,
not, you're not there
so we don't have that.
Saturday
We don't
morning.
have that privilege to be able to talk to a live audience.
That's right. Saturday mornings. Yet. Oh, there's threats in there. There's threats. So yeah, we did get a text.
I did like your
question.
Well, I guess we'll have to get to that text when we get back, huh?
Absolutely.
I did like Brian's question, though, about the viability of Cruz on either side, no matter how you're looking at it. Whether it's, how are his people going to respond to him?
Yep.
That's a good question.
Absolutely. Stay tuned. We'll be back.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common, everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
And welcome back to Max World Live. You are listening to 99.3 The Truth. We appreciate you listening in and for the phone call we had from Tim. Thank you, Tim, if you're still listening. Also, we got a text we wanted to get to before the break.
Right. Okay, the text says, the Bible clearly tells us that there is persecution coming to our nation.
Right.
What happens when Christians vote in the president who brings upon us that persecution through laws, through judges that are appointed, and so forth?
What happens? Well,
bad things.
Bad things. We get persecuted. That's something we've been pretty blessed as a nation. Not to the extent of our persecution of late has been, oh, I've lost my job. Oh, I've been told I needed to bake a cake. And by the way, I'm not diminishing that at all. I think it's horrendous that we have Christians who are being forced to participate and violate their conscience, or if they don't violate their conscience, then they're facing these penalties, monetary
clear
penalties.
Violations of the First Amendment, by the way.
Right. But I'm saying, we're not getting, killed in the streets like what we see throughout the world. We have not come yet to a point where Christians here in the United States, typically, I know there, Columbine, there was some people who were martyred. So I don't want to say we've never had Americans be martyred, but we've not had to face that. Persecution will come. Jesus promised there's going to be suffering. Basically, what we're doing what we want to do as the body of Christ is recognize that we're going to eventually face persecution, but also we want to be salt and light, and we want to try to prevent our nation from going down that road if we possibly can.
That's right. I think one thing that's missed by some people in the evangelical church is our duty to still attempt to restrain evil.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. Show me in Scripture where that's a bad thing.
I can't.
I don't know, going to the texter again, I'm not 100% sure I understood the question that the text. Could you read the text again, Bob?
Sure. The Bible clearly tells us that there is persecution coming to our nation.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when Christians vote in the president who brings upon that persecution through laws, appointment of judges, Supreme Court,
executive orders?
Yes.
I guess I kind of go back to Shane's thing. I'm not sure I understand the question, because the question itself seems to have the answer. If persecution's coming and we vote in the person who's going to bring the persecution, what happens? Persecution. But I'm not sure that that's actually what the texter is asking. But I don't know, because it's hard to have a conversation. But I would say this, we need, one of the reasons we vote, one of the reasons why I think about voting is not so much to keep myself from persecution. One of the reasons why I vote is because God gave us the commandment that we're to love God with all of our heart, mind, soul, and strength, and that we are to love our neighbor. And when a government puts into policy things that harm my neighbor, then me allowing that by my vote or casting a vote in favor of things like that hurt my neighbor, it's me not loving my neighbor. So by an extension, I'm violating God's command. So we have to think about our neighbor's benefit when we vote.
So what you're saying is that if Hillary becomes president, it will be the end of the world. And if Trump gets in,
it'll be the end of the world.
It'll be the end of the world.
That's why, sweet meteor of death 2016.
Well, I think
he will radically change Washington, D.C.
The sweet meteor of death.
I think what the question is asking is there a candidate who's more likely or less likely to put in executive orders, laws, appoint judges? Is there a candidate that's more likely to bring about persecution on us than another candidate? Is, I think, the question.
Oh, okay. So saying, what about you Christians who don't vote for Donald Trump? Is this how we're phrasing it?
No.
And Hillary gets elected.
Well, maybe that is the intent of the texter.
I don't think the person is picking a candidate.
Right.
They're just asking, do they think that do you guys think, do we think that there's a candidate who's more likely or less likely to crimp down on our religious freedoms? And I would say the current administration has done a lot to slam our
certainly
religious
the
freedoms.
Obama administration has, and I think Hillary Clinton will follow.
I think it'll be worse.
I think it'll be worse because she's had to tack even further to the left because of where the Democratic Party has gone, and the cultural leftist elites have gone. However, with Donald Trump, it's still a wild card. He talks a lot about tamping down free speech from the media or free press. He hasn't really gone into exactly how he's going to protect religious liberty other than repealing the Johnson Amendment, which frankly, that's the least somebody could.
I really think that's the difference between us, Frank, is you in a positive fashion support Trump, and for us, at best, Trump is an unknown quantity.
Right.
That's.
Well, I've seen this choice is between fascism and socialism. Pick your poison.
Sure. Well, listen, Bernie Sanders come out, and he basically said, we all know there's a litmus test on the Democratic side for a Supreme Court nominee, and we know that litmus test is women's right to choose. We know that. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it.
Right.
Bernie Sanders has added a new caveat to the debate, is any candidate that Hillary chooses has to believe in global warming. Now, I'm not saying that's necessarily going to infringe on our religious freedoms, but if we get somebody in there that dominates us and says, here's what you're going to drive, here's where you're going to live, here's how you're going to heat it, here's how you're going to cool it.
Right.
That is a direct infringement upon our rights.
Do we have any indication that Trump isn't in that camp, though? I mean, I
haven't heard him talk about climate change at all.
Well, okay, maybe, but, and smarter people than I have said this, it wasn't that long ago that Donald Trump was a Democrat. This whole Donald Trump being a conservative thing is a relatively new phenomenon in his life. Now, everybody changes, man, right? Even though Donald Trump mocked Ben Carson for changing, people do change. They do. And Donald Trump can change. I'm not saying that his opinion hasn't changed. I'm not saying that. But I don't hear him necessarily saying anything that is against sort of the climate change, global warming, tree hugger kind of mantra that's going on in the country.
I think you're exactly right. At best, he's an unknown quantity. I mean, that's the problem.
Okay. Hey, we want to encourage you guys to call in. We want to hear from you. It's your voice we want to hear. 515-244-0077. Also, our Service Legends Truth text line, 515-809-0993, and we are up against a break. We can stretch it out.
We got a minute.
We got a minute left. So call in. We'll get you. If you call in, we'll get you in the next segment. So please call in. We want to hear from you. So anyway,
we're talking. So a couple things we're talking about. We want to talk about the riots in Charlotte next hour. We want to talk about some polling data that's coming out that's showing that Trump is losing,
and a big debate coming up on Monday.
And something's happening on Monday. Yeah, we should talk about the debate when we come back.
Very true.
We're listening to 99.3 FM, The Truth, and we've got another 30 minutes. And I just want to say, in my last 30 minutes.
30 minutes?
30 minutes.
When I was young in the state of Texas, it was a common thing for me to eat tacos. And I like tacos.
Do you like tacos?
Dude.
Tacos are good. I wholly endorse tacos.
Well, we forgive you for that. I'm just saying.
This is what it's like when you just run out things to say.
I thought Texans ate a big slab of beef.
Hey, man.
It's what's for dinner.
It's true. Beef. It's what's for dinner. I also like chicken.
Chick-fil-A.